Happy Easter, everybody, to all you lovely people. I hope that you have a good Easter with your friends, with your family. I hope you have great food, great drink. Whenever I get an idea in my head to cook something or to bake something, I kind of just, I hope you don't hear that outside noise. I go into the kitchen and I just do it. I had some milk and eggs that I wanted to use up. I had a lot of flour. I always have sugar on hand. I always have some basic things that I need so that I know that when I go in the kitchen, they're there and I can get to my baking or my cooking. And so I baked this Easter bread, and the template, the idea for the bread is a Greek bread called Zowoki. So that was I looked at, I've baked it before, but I looked at a few recent Zowoki recipes online and I recreated my own version of Easter bread. It's not a traditional Greek Easter bread. It's my own version, and I added my own stuff to it. In the middle, you can see I platted the bread before putting it in the oven. And it's not the best plat, but the bread came out really nice. I realized with baking that proofing and allowing the bread to rise and not rushing it is the real key to good baking. And obviously putting enough flavorings like vanilla. I love almond extract. I love cinnamon. I love citrus, so things like orange and lemons and all that kind of stuff. Anything you can do to make something taste more flavorful. Butter is always important. Butter is just a must-have ingredient for me. So I went into the kitchen and I did my baking, and I was really happy. I often make lamb over Easter. This Easter, I'm going to make a lamb and potato curry that I made a few months ago, which was the best lamb curry that I've ever had. In the past, I've done rack of lamb, but food prices are so high right now. They're just ridiculously high that I would just rather make something more inexpensive and economical. Even ordinary meat, even ordinary lamb meat is expensive, but I have this butcher near me that does really good quality lamb and they're not too expensive. I had a visitor come to my channel a few weeks ago, or is it a few days ago? It should be well over a week now, and I suspect the person is a Zowoki fan and seemed to have some issues with me and my opinions of Nicole Kessinger. So I'll get to talking about that in the podcast. And I also want to mention something about the recent trials that I've been watching on Court TV and other channels, Lori Vallow and another case. I also want to talk about the recent update on NK and my exchanges with somebody who appears to be a Zowoki fan and didn't like my opinions on Nicole Kessinger. So I'll get to that in just a moment. Thank you for listening and thank you for watching. Okay, so believe it or not, my original detractors were people who didn't like me because I didn't believe NK had anything to do with what happened in the Watts case. Now, let me just make it clear, and this is going to be annoying to go over and annoying to go through, but I'm just going to say this, okay? I'm not saying that she didn't have any involvement for sure. I'm just saying that there's no proof that she did. There's no definitive proof, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Other people think that there's proof that she was involved. But in my opinion, there's no proof. Certainly there's no proof that she had anything to do with what happened to those kids. Although people online are often saying she's responsible for that. And where's the proof? There is none. I believe that she was the catalyst for what happened. So I believe that Chris Watts took the actions he took because he was in love with her, or at least in lust with her. I think it was more lust than love. I don't really think he knows what love is. I think he was taken in by her, besotted with her. And I think he wanted out of his marriage because he was so besotted with NK. So I believe she's the catalyst for what he did and the catalyst for what happened. If he'd never met her, I don't think it would have happened, but I don't believe that there's proof that she's directly involved. Could I be wrong? possibly I could be. I don't know everything about the Watts case. Do you know who knows everything about the Watts case? Chris Watts. But he doesn't tell the truth. This is my opinion and this is my honest truth. Okay? So I think this comes from a video entitled that I did a year ago, where I was telling Zowoki, and the video is titled Zowoki, Watts is closed like AD. Basically, I was telling Zowoki that the Watts case is closed because he was doing a lot of live streams about how the case needs to be reopened and they need to get NK, blah, blah, blah. And he does it for clicks and views and watch time and all that kind of stuff. Zowoki wants to get his money. So this person came to my channel. I believe it is a female, could be a male, but just based on the name, I believe it's possibly a female. So I'm not going to read every single word of the exchanges between us. I'm going to just read some of it so that you get the gist of what I'm trying to explain here. So the message starts, or the comment starts, this person came to my channel, wrote a comment underneath this video, and it says, I've got a question. And I just want to say, I'm in no way disagreeing with you or anything. And I can agree about there not necessarily being evidence that NK helped. So, yep, that was the first comment. This person then goes on to tell me about the discovery and how NK's phone apparently pinged in the area on the morning or the night or the said day. Then the person says, I'm so right there with you on following the evidence. That's the only way we get to the truth and see the justice for the victims. Let me just say this part. This person is bothered by the phone ping and basically is saying, I believe is suggesting that NK must be involved if her phone pinged in the area on the time. So here the person says, so while there isn't evidence of her being the one who did this, perhaps there could be evidence she was at the house doing the cleanup while he was at survey. Obviously that's not been proven, but I'm just saying that as a theory to the phone ping. The phone ping still bothers me to this day. I don't make much of the phone ping. And because there have been so many rumors and so many fictitious stories about the Watts case, like the phone ping has never been an issue for me. It doesn't mean anything. She lived and worked in Colorado. So the fact that she might have been there in the area at the time doesn't really make, it's not proof of anything. So I tell this person, because the person says the phone ping information is in the discovery document. And I tell this person that I haven't read one page of the discovery. And no, my opinions on the Watts case or any case has nothing to do with a single document that I have to read through. To me, that's just a piece of paper. Yeah, to some people that might be a big deal, but to me, it's just a piece of paper. My theory or my opinion on the Watts case are based on the footage that I've seen. That includes the interrogation footage, the footage of him backing up his truck in the driveway, his ever-changing stories, obviously his lies, and the fact that his family were found at the oil field where he worked as a field coordinator. That's where my opinions come from. It has nothing to do with the discovery document. So when I tell this person that I haven't read a single page of the discovery document, this person goes off on one. Apparently, so I'm just going to read what this person says when they realize that I haven't read the discovery document. It's not an opinion, it's data recorded straight from the phone dump. I had a different impression when you said that you only work with the facts and evidence, but then you say that you don't even read the literally pieces of paper with the evidence on it. Come on, girl. Make that make sense. I understand that not just one fact makes someone guilty. Yes, not just one fact makes someone guilty unless it's a huge, huge factor. And for me, the discovery document doesn't make anyone guilty or innocent. But it's not just about one fact this person claims. You have to look over everything. So basically, this person is now imposing their opinion on me and imposing on me what I should be looking at. Then the last few lines, I just don't understand how you can say you go by facts without actually doing your own research into those facts, starting with looking at them. Well, yes, I did look into the facts, and the way I looked into the facts was looking at the visual aspects of the case, not the literal aspects of the case, or the literary, aspects of the case, the visuals, the things he said, the inconsistencies in his statement, the interrogation video, the fact that he was backing up his truck on the day of the event, the fact that his family were found in the oil field where he works, the fact that he was hiding this secret and hiding NK from his wife, the fact that he'd never told her about NK and that he was having this relationship with NK. All of these are reasons why I think that the most prolific thing that points to him, for me personally, is the fact that his family were found at the oil site where he works. For me, that's the biggest piece of evidence. And as far as I'm concerned, reading the discovery is not going to change that. Do you know what I mean? It makes no difference to the evidence. But this person goes off on me because I didn't read the discovery, or I said that I didn't read the discovery. And I believe obviously thinks that NK is involved. And they say to me, and yeah, NK worked and lived in Colorado, which is something that I said, but her phone never once pinged from the Frederick Tower, except for the time she was at the Watts home. The ping came just after 6 a.m. She never clocked into work that morning. She showed up late and only clocked out, blah, 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 blah. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But at the same time, it doesn't directly mean that she was involved. So anyway, this was my response. You asked me a question and I answered. I wasn't rude to you, was I? Which I wasn't. You know, I was simply answering the questions how I usually answer somebody. But because this person doesn't get the answers that they want, they start to be rude and they start to go off on me. And I say, you didn't ask me how I got to an opinion. You asked me about the phone ping. But because you don't get the answer you want, you decide to be condescending and rude to me. You come across as arrogant. I can tell you most creators wouldn't even give you the time of day as I am giving to you. Be a little bit more humble and less full of yourself. That was my response. I never base my opinion on any case on a written document or a discovery document. My opinions on the Watts case are based on the interrogation and other footage, the lies Chris told, and his ever-changing stories. I don't believe NK was involved, but I believe she was the catalyst for his actions. So that was my response to that. But I don't like it when someone comes to my channel with the guise of wanting to know my opinion, and then when they don't get the answers that they want, they start telling me how stupid I am or how stupid they think I am just because they don't agree. We all look at evidence in different ways. Even people who work in LE look at evidence in different ways. You might have two officers come into a courtroom to testify for something, and they may tell two different stories or have two different perspectives. So this person seems to be annoyed with me because I don't look at the evidence in the same way she or he does. And that's just ignorance as far as I'm concerned. Basically, this person was saying, this is how I interpret it, is that I can't have an opinion, or I can't have an authentic opinion if I didn't read the discovery, or if I don't think the way that that person thinks. And that's just ridiculous. It's just like, it's a bit like the Messi and Ronaldo debate. There's going to be some people, well, a lot of people in the footballing world think Messi's the better footballer. I'm a little bit biased, I admit, because I'm a Manchester United fan. For me, Ronaldo is the better footballer. But there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer. It depends on what you consider, what facts you consider, or factors you consider in making a footballer a better footballer than the other. It's about your opinion based on your perspectives, and it's not necessarily your wrong or right answer. Anyway, one of the things, one of the reasons why I believe that NK was definitely not involved was because I think one of the reasons why Chris did what he did is because he didn't want NK to know that his wife was pregnant. And I believe deep down that is a huge part of the reason why this happened in the first place. He wanted to keep that pregnancy a secret from NK. I don't think he ever discussed that with NK, and I don't think he ever wanted her to know. Now, in the world of social media, of course, she could have easily have gone to Facebook and have found out, yes. But I think in his little world and his little mind, his stupidity and immaturity, he was trying to keep that pregnancy away from NK. So I don't think he would have wanted to involve her at all. That's just my personal opinion. And I'm not saying that there are things that I might be right about, and there are things that I might be wrong about. I can't be right 100% of the time. I'm a flawed human being. One thing I do know for a fact is that this is a closed case. It's not going to be reopened ever. That's what I know for a fact, and you can mark my words on that. Anyway, moving on to the next thing. I've been really enjoying watching this on Court TV, and there's another channel that I watch as well. And it's the Monica Sementilli case. Sementilli, an Italian name. Her husband was Fabio Sementilli. And these guys, the guy on the right called Robert Baker, and the woman on the left, who's Monica Sementilli. Her husband's picture is in the middle. His name is Fabio Sementilli. The two guys on the end were having a very steamy relationship behind his back in the middle. And they conspired. Okay? Without going into detail about everything, because this is not what I'm doing this podcast for, I'm just telling you how much I enjoyed watching the trial and the things that came out in the trial. You know, one of the things that I realized with a lot of cases is that the factors that cause these events to happen a lot of the time are love or lust, anything that extracts extreme emotions, love or lust, money, greed. All of these things are the factors in many, many cases. Love, lust, money, and greed. And jealousy and envy as well is another factor. So anyway, Monica and Fabio were living a fabulous life in Los Angeles. She didn't work. She lived off of his money. He was a famous hairstylist, and he was making good money. They came from Canada and they settled in Los Angeles. I want to live in LA. I would love to live in LA. And they were together for many years. They have 2 kids, 2 daughters. Woman never worked. Woman had everything paid for, living the high life, going to the gym, going to fabulous restaurants, going on fabulous vacations. Had a wonderful husband who was quite a bit older than her, who provided for her. But she got involved with this Robert Baker guy on the right, and he's a real piece of work. But I can actually see how she might have been attracted to him. They were running in the same circles. They used to play, I don't know, racquetball or whatever. You know, he was a coach. And apparently there was something very, he had this a kind of charisma about him, this sensual charisma, and she fell for him. And they started their relationship, and then they could, you know, they wanted to get rid of the guy in the middle because then they could get the money and live happily ever after, right? Well, the stuff that came out in this trial, I mean, how silly can a woman be? You know, you have a good marriage, a marriage that's been around for decades. You've got 2 lovely kids with this man. This man is providing for you. You don't have to work. You're living in LA, and you get involved with this thing on the right. Well, what was coming out in the trial is that one of the attorneys was really going after the photographs that she was sending him. This was even on the day they said goodbye to him. She was sending him on the right, not her husband, him on the right. She was sending him photographs. Has anyone heard of the play, the VJ monologues? Well, they should have called it the VJ trial, because she was sending him such photographs on the day they were saying goodbye to her husband. There was proof of it from her parents' house. And even as they have been inside, they've been trying to do these playful things with each other. And they highlighted it in court about what she was showing him. I never laughed so much in my life. But she was recently found responsible. And the verdict came in, and I was very, very happy, because I don't know how you can give up all of that just because you want to feed your ego. Because that's what it is. It's all about ego. It's all about, she fell in lust with this guy because he had a certain charm and charisma that maybe her husband doesn't have. But he wasn't the stable guy. He wasn't somebody who had money or anything. He just had that charisma that she was attracted to. And, I think she owed her husband more respect than that. And I'm glad that the verdict came in, and I'm glad the verdict is that she's responsible and she won't be seeing the light of day for now. And so we finally get to Lori Vallow once again. I haven't mentioned much about her for a long time, and it's the Watts case and the Vallow case that really started my channel and got my channel going. What else left is there to say about a woman such as Lori Vallow, who is a serial bride, who has been married 5 times, who married her latest husband in Hawaii on a beach, happily getting married, smiling, while her 2 precious children were in her latest husband's, her husband that she's getting married to. They were in her husband's backyard. While she said that, Lori Vallow is a manipulator. It's almost incomprehensible to me. It's almost like I can't find the words to really describe her, because the thing about people like Lori Vallow is that she's very articulate and she's a very good manipulator, and she was able to manipulate her family for, she had her family fooled for a very long time. And she explains everything that's happened in her life and why she is where she is as, a tragedy. And that's it. And her family, her sister and her mother, who have tried to defend her and protected her and defended her as much as they can, they just think that she's delusional. And there's a lot more to Lori Vallow than her just being delusional. I don't believe that she's just delusional and doesn't know what's going on. Anyway, Lori Vallow is going to be away for life. She's a lifer. And apparently she makes green chicken enchiladas when she has get-togethers. She's on her latest trial now, another trial. Her recent trial has started for what happened to her previous husband, Charles Vallow. And Charles Vallow was warning people about the type of person she was for a long time, and no one listened to him, because she was able to bat her eyes and smile and, use her appeal and charm to fool people. That's what she continues to do. And she's very good at doing it at times. I mean, if the things that she said weren't so ridiculous, she could actually be very convincing. And if you didn't know about her and her background, she could actually be very convincing. But anyway, she's presenting herself or representing herself in her latest trial, in her latest case. And there's a saying that The person who represents themselves has a fool for a client. It's a term that is kind of widely used. So she's representing herself, and I'm watching the trial. And basically, it's a pointless trial. Not for the people who really love Charles Vallow, but because it's not going to make a difference to her status. She's not ever getting out. But I was just watching some parts of the trial, and I just found it really funny how when she was talking to her brother, when she was addressing her brother, she was saying how come he doesn't remember that she used to make green chicken enchiladas at nearly every get together. Apparently it was her thing, whether it was Christmas, whether it was Easter, whether it was a birthday party, she would make these green chicken enchiladas. I just made enchiladas the other day. This woman is delusional. Yes, she's delusional, but she knows exactly what she's doing, and she's calculated and she's manipulative, and she knows exactly what she's doing. Yes, she's delusional to a point, but she's not only delusional. She is a very sad person, and it's unlikely that she's going to be, you know, it's very likely that she's going to be held responsible for what happened to her husband, Charles. At the same time, it makes no difference because she's going to be, you know, Lori Vallow is such an enigma to me. She's such an enigma. I don't know how you go from being, as people said, she was the best mom. She loved her children. She protected her children. She provided for them. She used to be a very skilled hairdresser in Austin, Texas. She lived in nice homes. She had a job, she worked. She had children. She cared for them. I don't know how you go from that to ending up how she is now. And a cousin recently did an interview and said that Lori Vallow has always been a manipulator. She's always been narcissistic. And apparently she's estranged from Lori Vallow's family because, well, she's a cousin of Lori Vallow, but she would see that she is a manipulator. But, just because somebody is a manipulator and just because somebody is narcissistic doesn't mean that they will go to the lengths that Lori Vallow has gone in life to do what, the things that she's done. So she remains some kind of enigma to me. And the only thing I can think of is that she had some mental break, and then she got involved with the wrong person, which is Chad Daybell, and they just brought out the worst in each other. But yes, I do think she's always been a narcissistic person. However, just because you're a narcissist doesn't mean that you would do something, do the things that she's done. There's lots of people who have narcissistic traits that don't do what she has done. So anyway, one of the things that she said, and I'm going to wrap this up, she said that her life is coming to an end anyway because she's 51 years old. I mean, and she's sitting there with, obviously she has access to makeup and she has access to hair dye, and she's sitting there and she's saying that she's a voice for other women in her position and how innocent she is and how tragedies happen, and she's the voice of reason, and that she's going to speak up for all women who have been wronged in life. I mean, this woman is beyond anything that I've ever, she is unique. That's what I'll say.